Greetings, YouTube. Today we'd like to talk about the false electors in Michigan, the 16 people that have been charged by the Michigan State Attorney with charges that have an accumulated prison term of 85 years. Now, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, because I can't imagine that all 16 of these people are going to be stalwart, hard-nosed individuals and are not going to crumple like the cowards they are when they finally realize what's going to happen to them. Because if they weren't cowards, they would have let an election carry on the way it was supposed to. They wouldn't have attempted to undermine the democratic process and put a loser in the White House, because that loser supports their particular brand of white nationalism. So I hope every single one of them goes to prison. I hope every single one of them turns on somebody else, because I want to see this thing just steamroll. And I want to see it draw in more and more Republicans. I want as many elected officials as possible. I want judges and cops and appointed individuals all over Michigan and across the United States pulled into these investigations so we can see behind the curtain at the real ugliness that's going on in the GOP system right now. You know the old saying is you don't want to see how politics or sausages are made? Well, you'd really enjoy going to a sausage factory, even if it required watching the pigs be slaughtered, compared to what the GOP has done to democracy. Their actions are reprehensible. They realize they can't win in a system of fair elections. So they are doing everything in their power to undermine democracy to continue their reign of terror and their control of the United States. They are a minority, but they have seized power and are doing everything to hold that power. But the nice thing is if you get out there and actually vote, we can help break that. Not going to be easy, not going to happen in a single election, but we can do it. We need to go after them in primaries. We need to go after them for their term limits. We really need to get term limits put into place. We need congressional term limits in America, that you can only be elected to Congress twice, just like a president. Break the back of these careers that span decades. There are people who have been serving in Congress for 4 or 5 decades. That's absurd. They're from a different era. They have no right to be in power. Congress should reflect us, not the white power structure of the past. Hell, it should be half feminine as well. The United States, I believe, is actually more than half women. Maybe Congress should be more than half women. That would make sense now, wouldn't it? It needs to reflect the demographics of our nation. Trans people, gay people, black and brown and Asian people, indigenous people, migrants, everything. It needs to reflect our nation, not just those white folks that are in power and want to remain in power. We cannot let them turn America into an apartheid nation. We cannot tolerate an apartheid state. And that's what the GOP is trying to do. That is it. And arresting these false electors is a step in the right direction. So I'm hoping it works. I hope they can go after them, and I hope they can get these folks to roll on their compatriots, and I hope they're all found guilty, and they all get to go to prison for 8 decades. And I believe it's federal, so they'd have to serve like 80% of that, which means they'll all die in prison. I think they should be buried in their orange jumpsuits.